Now, did you know that Ethiopia was the first African country that invited Black Americans and African descendants back home early in the 1900s? If not, today you're in for a quick history lesson, so let's go. My name is Ambassador Tim Ford Jr. of the African Union AUCS, and I've been living over in East Africa, Tanzania for almost 5 years now, and I help my people invest, rebuild, and return over to the continent of Africa. But today, we're going to talk about how Ethiopia actually was the first country to actually invite African Americans and African descendants back home. Now, this is the history that has been hidden from us. Now, they've taught us that our African brothers and sisters over here on the continent of Africa actually hate us and do not want to work with us. And that has been far from the truth. Throughout my almost 5 years of being over here on the continent of Africa, guys, I've been shown nothing but real love and support on my journey from my brothers and sisters that are over here on the continent. It was nothing like they painted it out to be. There was no hatred I experienced. Of course, there was some jealousy that was involved from some low level thinking individuals. Of course, there's always someone that's going to be jealous and envious of what you have going on. But the outright hatred that I was taught that I would receive when I got over here, it was nothing like that. And of course, I never knew about this particular queen who actually invited us back to Africa in the early 1900s. So that's the part of history that they do not show us. They lied to us and gave us a history that they wanted us to think and wanted us to believe that our people over here actually hated us, wasn't inviting us back, and even left us hanging over in America. But since I've been over here, I've learned so many different stories about so many different leaders who were over here on the continent of Africa advocating for us and trying to get us out of the environment that we were stuck in. So today, I'm honored to be able to talk to you guys about a queen from the 1900s who actually was trying to help get her people, us, back over to Ethiopia. And this queen's name is Empress Zewditu. She was the first king of queens over in Ethiopia from 1916 to the 1930s. Empress Zewditu sought to maintain Ethiopia's traditional values during her reign through a series of conservative policies, resisting rapid modernization, ascending to the throne in 1916 after the deposition of Emperor Iyasu V. She was supported by conservative factions and the Ethiopian Orthodox Church, who saw her as a stabilizing figure. Her rule was characterized by efforts to uphold Ethiopian traditions and the Orthodox Christian faith, contrasting with the modernization of her regent, Rastafarian Makonnen, later known as Emperor Haile Selassie. Faced with significant internal challenges, she navigated power structures between conservative and modernist factions within the country. Despite her conservative stance, Zewditu had to deal with the complexities of a nation under pressure to modernize and engage with foreign powers. During her reign, Ethiopia experienced political maneuvering, with Rastafarian pushing the reforms and international diplomacy, creating a dual power dynamic that defined her rule. Ethiopia's attempts to assert its sovereignty amidst external threats, particularly from colonial powers like Italy, marked this period. Her commitment to preserving Ethiopian independence and cultural heritage was a notable aspect of her leadership. However, resistance to rapid modernization and reliance on traditionalist policies led to tension within the government and society. The death of Emperor Zewditu in 1930, under circumstances that remain somewhat unclear, marked the end of an era and paved the way for Rastafari to become Emperor Haile Selassie. Her legacy reflects efforts to maintain traditional values while facing the inevitability of change. She is remembered for her dedication to the Ethiopian Orthodox faith and her rule in the traditional period that set the stage for the modernization efforts that followed. Critics argue that her conservative policies may have hindered Ethiopia's progress in adaptation to the modern world. However, supporters highlight her significant role in maintaining Ethiopian sovereignty and cultural identity during a period of potential upheaval. Her reign remains a topic of study for its insights into the challenges of leadership during a time of significant political and social change. So Emperor Zewditu was in power before Haile Selassie over in Ethiopia. So he was sitting under her as her prime minister and learning from her as she was doing her reign over in Ethiopia. But as things continued to progress and Haile Selassie was looking at the world, he was trying to modernize and get the people to modernize as well. But Empress Zewditu, she was very reluctant to it, and she was not really trying to modernize and go with the times and lock arms with political entities and grow the country in that manner. She wanted to stay traditional and she wanted to build it in that manner. But with that particular mindset, that came with tension within Ethiopia. And at some point, there was a battle between the emperor's husband and also the prime minister at the time, which was Haile Selassie. When they went into battle, unfortunately, the emperor's husband, he lost and Haile Selassie won. And a few days later, it was said that the empress was found dead. Many people speculate that it was because of a broken heart, but we will never know because you know how that goes. But after her reign and after she died, Haile Selassie came into power and took Ethiopia where it needed to go for the next few years. But during her reign, Zewditu wrote a letter called The Call to Africa. This letter was an open invitation to African Americans and African descendants to return to Ethiopia, their ancestral homeland. The letter even offered grants and Ethiopian citizenship to those who took advantage and actually came back over to Ethiopia. And just like I mentioned in her biography, she was very, very adamant about preserving African culture and the heritage. During her reign, she wrote this letter inviting our people to leave America and come back to Ethiopia and build and get citizenship and get land handed to them just for being bold and taking the risk coming back to Ethiopia. Now, at the time when she wrote this letter, we had brothers like Marcus Garvey who were already in power and working over in the United States of America. So when she wrote this letter, the letter resonated with him so much, he actually began to mobilize and take advantage of what she had offered. And for those of you who don't know who Marcus Garvey is, Marcus Garvey was a Jamaican African leader who saw Ethiopia as a symbol of African pride and independence. He was the founder of the Universal Negro Improvement Association, which is called the UNIA for short. And the mission of the UNIA was to unite Black people, promote pride and love, and help the needy. And most importantly, the main focus was to help his people get back over to the motherland of Africa. And the UNIA was founded on July 20th in 1914, along with Amy Ashwood, which later became Marcus Garvey's wife. So he built the UNIA with his wife, similar to what I'm doing over here with my wife right now, guys. This platform that you guys see me on, this work that you see me doing, my wife is such an important piece to what we have going on, to the work that we're doing, the messages that I bring forth, a lot of the topics that you guys see me speak about. She's always in the background making sure that we're doing things properly. And when I get up here and talk to you guys, we're on the same page and we know what we're talking about. So women have helped in so many ways to help our people see what's going on, to come over to the continent of Africa, to stand up, to be bold, to take these type of chances. We're talking about two prominent women right now. I know I just mentioned Marcus Garvey, but the Queen is the main one we're talking about. And now we're talking about Amy Ashwood, who stood beside Marcus Garvey as he was paving the way and laying the groundwork to get his people over to the continent of Africa. Since we're here, gotta show y'all some of the products real quick.
This I'm not your body ready. I'm not your body.
Yeah, natural products.
Not your body.
Yeah.
Not your body.
Yeah. Say. Yeah. Come closer. Come. Busy Beachy. But the letter, the call to Africa, it was read at one of the conventions of the UNIA. So they were at one of the conventions and they actually read this letter in front of all of the people. And this letter that she wrote helped to influence the Pan-African movement. So when they read this, it gave them power and fire and ammunition to know that we must press forward. We have a way to get back home. We have somewhere that we can go back to, and we don't have to stay subjugated to what we're dealing with in the Western world. I'm going to read a quick portion of this letter for you guys so you guys can see and understand what she said to the people. Assure them, members of the UNIA, of the cordiality with which I invite them back to the homeland, particularly those qualified to help solve our big problems and to develop our vast resources: teachers, artisans, mechanics, writers, musicians, professional men, women, all who are able to lend a hand in the constructive work which our country so deeply feels and greatly needs. So she put this in her letter when she was inviting us back to Ethiopia in the 1900s. Now, this is a piece of history that I've never heard about. And I'm sure if you're listening to this right now, this is probably your first time hearing about this too. They strategically hid this type of information from us so that we wouldn't have a pull, so that we would know the reality of what's going on over here in Africa. During the time of the UNIA, they wrongfully accused Marcus Garvey and tried to tarnish his reputation. Marcus Garvey was one of the first brothers who had to deal with COINTELPRO and have his organization torn from the inside out by the United States government. They strategically tarnished his reputation and stopped people from believing and actually going back to Africa because it would hurt their bottom dollar. They unfortunately charged Marcus Garvey with mail fraud during his time, and they kicked him out of the country of America, which in turn hindered and stopped the movement that he had with helping our people get back to Africa. So during his time, he had mobilized millions of men and women that were ready and focused and trying to come back to the continent of Africa. But they went inside and they strategically ripped apart his movement and messed up what he had going on. But there's still remnants of us waking up and picking up the pieces and trying to continue to do the work of the UNIA and bring forth our late great Marcus Garvey's vision of us returning back to the continent of Africa to connect with our people. So this is some great knowledge. I was honored to come across this information and learn that we were really welcome back to Africa in the 1900s. We were taught that they didn't care. They were happy. They were rejoicing. They actually sold us. And we learned that we were sold into slavery. And some of our people did it reluctantly. And some of our people actually did it with guns to their head, unfortunately. There's a whole side of history that we weren't taught about. So it's been an honor to be able to learn these type of things. And it's an honor to be able to bring this type of information to my people. So comment in the comment box and let me know what you think about Ethiopia actually being the first country to invite us back home as a people. And also let me know what you think about Marcus Garvey. Does that sort of change your perspective on history about what we've been taught and what we've had to deal with as a people? Because knowing this type of information, it sort of changes things. We were always feeling like no one cared, no one really wanted to help us get out of our situation. But hearing this, can you only imagine how many other people were speaking up and trying to fight and get us back over here? So let me know what you think in the comment box. And if you're over here on the continent of Africa, let me know where you're watching me from. And if you're in the Western world, let me know where you're tuning in from. I'm always excited to see and hear where my people pulling up from. And make sure you guys come back and stay tuned to our content. I'm going to continue to keep bringing the updates of the history that I learned and the political affairs that's going on over here on the continent. So if you want to stay in tune to what's going on over here on the continent and the history that I'm learning, make sure you subscribe and stay tuned to the journey, okay? And also, if you're thinking about coming over to the continent of Africa, I offer a free document with 14 of the most important things you need to know in order to move over here successfully. I give you everything you need in order to get your mind right so that you can have a clear vision of what you need to do when you decide to come over here to the continent of Africa. And I also have a free course if you're interested. I teach you how to invest, rebuild, or return over here to the continent of Africa. I have a free course giving you the foundation of what you need to know in order for you to move over here successfully. So if you're interested in taking a free course so that you can learn how to come over here successfully, click the link in the description box and join us there. And if you're thinking about coming over to the continent of Africa and you want one-on-one help to figure out how to make that happen, I offer consultations as well. So if you're thinking about getting some help, click the link in the description box and I got you. And if you're trying to learn Swahili so that you can come over here and make a smooth transition and be competent with the language, we offer courses as well. So click the link in the description box and get that if that's what you need. All right. Now, if you made it to the end of the video, thank you for your time. I thank you for your attention. I don't take it for granted. And I hope this video was able to bring you some value, okay? Let's learn from our history. Let's start moving differently, and let's connect with our people over here on the continent of Africa, all right? Y'all make sure y'all stay safe out there and keep this shalom peace. Stay focused. Don't let these people stop y'all, all right? Shalom.